What if I told you that one of my clients went from saying yes to planning a weekend long 75th birthday party for her mom, even though every part of her wanted to say no, to calmly saying, I won't be hosting this year, without a single apology or explanation? And the most shocking part, her family respected her more, not less. Hey there, I'm Lynn Carpenter of Blissful Heart Coaching. And today I'm sharing this real transformation story of how she used her authentic values to finally say no without guilt and break free from the exhausting spiral that used to make her take back every boundary she tried to set. But here's what might surprise you. Values-based boundaries don't just feel different in your mind, they feel completely different in your body. And I'll explain what that means. To understand why your body responds the way it does when you try to honor your truth, we have to look at where that response began. Because most of us weren't taught to trust our inner knowing. We were conditioned to override it to stay accepted, safe, and loved by the people we depended on. When I'm working with clients in the round pen, I see this all the time. Horses respond instantly to what's real, not what's polite or expected. When a woman tries to set a boundary she doesn't fully believe she's allowed to hold, her body responds. Sometimes subtly and sometimes clearly, and the horse always picks up on it. Not to judge or challenge her, but to reflect back whether her no is really rooted in truth or tangled up in old conditioning. That's why I talk so much about something I call bridling. When I talk about bridling, I'm drawing from the world of horses. In thoughtful horsemanship, a horse learns to respond to gentle pressure while ideally staying connected to its spirit. But many of us as humans internalize the pressure around us so deeply that we began to bridle ourselves, suppressing our true thoughts, emotions, and desires to stay safe, accepted, and loved by the people we depended on. The unbridling process is about gently loosening those old reins, healing the survival adaptations that once kept us safe, and reconnecting with our whole, worthy, soul-led selves. Let me paint you a picture of this client before she discovered her unbridled values. At 47, she was the one who held it all together. Every holiday, every family crisis, every we need someone to blank, she was the automatic yes. But here's what was happening in her body. Her jaw was constantly clenched. Her shoulders lived somewhere around her ears. She'd lie awake at 2 a.m. with her heart racing, mentally rehearsing how she'd say no, only to cave the moment the conversation happened. She told me I felt like I was drowning in my own life. I was exhausted, resentful, and then I felt guilty about being resentful. It was this awful cycle. The breaking point came when her sister asked her to coordinate their mother's 75th birthday party, a 3-day weekend event for 40 people. Her gut screamed no, but her mouth said, of course, I'd be happy to. A little while later, she called me sobbing. That conversation about the birthday party was her breaking point. But the real shift came a few weeks later when her sister called again, this time about planning Easter. She felt the familiar panic start to rise, but then something new happened. She placed her hand on her heart and asked herself, what would honoring my value of peace look like right now? Her body immediately relaxed. She could feel the difference between a bridled response, an automatic yes to avoid conflict, and an unbridled response, an authentic choice rooted in her values. She said, I won't be able to host Easter this year. I'm choosing to keep my spring simple and peaceful. No over-explaining, no apology, no guilt. Her sister paused and said, oh, okay. I'll figure something else out. That was it. No drama, no guilt trip, no family explosion. Here's what a fear-based boundary might feel like. Your chest tightens, your breathing gets shallow, you brace. maybe in your shoulders, maybe in your gut. And your inner dialogue kicks in. They're going to be upset. I don't want to disappoint them. Maybe I should just say yes. But a values-based boundary, it feels completely different. Your feet feel steady, your chest stays open, your breath is calm. There's a sense of expansion, like you're standing behind something strong and loving. I call this a sacred fence because it's a boundary that doesn't shut people out. Instead, it protects what's precious within you. And there's this quiet inner knowing that says, this choice honors what matters most to me, and that's enough. Over the next 6 months, her entire life reorganized around her values. She said no to coordinating the birthday party and offered to help in a smaller way instead. She started showing up in her relationships more honestly, not just doing what was expected, but expressing how she truly felt. And here's what surprised everyone, especially her. Her family relationships actually improved. Her sister started planning her own events, and she discovered she actually liked it. Her mother told her she seemed more present and peaceful, and her daughter said, "Mom, you seem happier." Now here's where this might challenge everything you've been taught about boundaries. Values-based boundaries don't feel selfish in your body because they're not coming from scarcity or fear. They're coming from abundance and alignment. When she tried to set boundaries from willpower alone, her body would scream, "What if they reject me? What if I'm being mean? What if I'm wrong?" But when she set boundaries from her authentic values, her body relaxed because it recognized, this is who I really am. This honors both me and ultimately others. Your nervous system knows the difference between authentic boundaries and the moments when you override your truth just to keep the peace. Like horses, people respond differently when your boundaries come from clarity instead of compliance. If you're thinking, this sounds beautiful, Lynn, but how do I actually do this? Here's what she practiced. She paused before saying yes. She checked in with her values. She noticed what happened in her body. And she spoke from what felt aligned, even when it was uncomfortable. She even kept a small card in her purse with her 5 values written on it. Before any family gathering, she'd read it and feel into her body's wisdom. Today, she describes herself as finally living my own life. She hosts family events when it genuinely feels aligned, and she declines when it doesn't. She's sleeping through the night. Her relationships are deeper because they're based on authenticity, not obligation. And most importantly, she's modeling for her daughter what it looks like to honor yourself while still loving others. She's breaking generational patterns of people-pleasing and creating new ones of authentic living. If this story resonates with you, if you're tired of the guilt spiral that makes you take back every no you try to set, your next step is to discover your own unbridled values. Because here's what I know to be true. You can't set sustainable boundaries from your head. You have to feel them in your body. And that starts with knowing what you actually value, not what you think you should value. I've created a free values discovery workbook that walks you through the exact process she used to identify her authentic values. It includes the same exercises we did together, plus body-based practices to help you feel the difference between borrowed values and authentic ones. You can download it in the description below. Remember, you don't have to choose between loving others and honoring yourself. In fact, the most loving thing you can do is show up authentically, from a place of genuine choice rather than resentful obligation. Your values are your compass, and your body already knows the way home to your soul and your authentic self. If this video helped you see boundaries in a new way, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments. What's one value that if you honored it would change how you show up in your relationship? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep unbridling.